"You better watch this one, or she'll kill you." Those were the words given from Katherine Knight's mother to her first husband on the day of their wedding, and so summarizes the story of Katherine Knight, a large bully of a woman who took no shit, had a short temper, and resorted to physical violence whenever she felt wronged. Today, we'll tell her story, from her terrible upbringing to her numerous gentleman callers to the gruesome crime that eventually landed her in prison with paperwork ordered to state, "never to be released." I've never met an Australian woman, so I just hope they're all not abrasive, bullish, and kill their husbands. I'm Mike.
I'm Ian.
And I'm Dave. If you thought Leatherface was the best at skinning people, stick around. Hopefully this butcher from down under will let you off the hook. This is Necronomipod.
You had this notion that Katherine Knight might have been the most evil woman to ever walk the planet. You didn't want to walk into the same room as her. You didn't want to set eyes on her. But what was most surprising was when you did see her, just how terribly ordinary she looked. She could have been a librarian. If you walked past her in the supermarket, you wouldn't have thought twice of it. She was a very ordinary looking woman. With all of the partners that survived Katherine Knight, whenever I sat down to talk to them, here were tough men, calloused hands, cigarettes, rough faces, rough talking. All three at one stage or another burst into tears as they described the violence they suffered at her hands. They were genuine victims of domestic violence. No matter how hard their outer shell, they were rattled by what Katherine had done to them.
So I'll admit off the top, I do not watch or did not watch The Walking Dead. Obviously, surprise, surprise, Mike didn't watch it.
Sure.
Yeah.
You guys both did.
For the most part.
I bailed last year, but
okay.
up until then.
And that's what I was going to get to. So I hear a lot of, some people still watch The Walking Dead. Then there's like a spin-off show now, I think. Or like a follow-up, like Talking Dead.
Yeah, that's afterwards.
But
There's
there's
a
a
wrap-up
Dead
show.
Yeah,
okay.
But there's a side thing.
So it's
Fear of the Walking Dead.
Yeah.
So it's
like
a
that.
deep thing.
Yeah, sure.
When did you guys abandon ship, and why?
The last show I watched was when they, what's her name, took Rick away in the helicopter.
I didn't watch that far into it.
Really?
I don't think so.
Oh.
So Dave made it longer with The Walking Dead.
That's the last one I watched. I'm like, I'm done with this.
No, I didn't watch that far.
And how many seasons was that? I'm only asking because I feel like this is like there's some people who are still diehard Walking Dead fans.
Did you get to the Whispers?
No, this was before that.
Yeah, I didn't get that far. I had stopped before you. Because me and you texted about it. We were talking about it, yeah.
I'm like,
We
I
stopped around the
can't
same
waste any
time.
more time with this.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I don't know. That was season 5, maybe?
Yeah.
So only 5 seasons. So that was years ago, no?
It was a year or two ago.
I read the comics first. I finished the comics because it just ended not that long ago.
So you stuck with the comics.
Yeah. The episode where Negan first kind of really came in, and then he, spoiler alert, I don't even feel like it's a spoiler alert because it's 2 years
Well, you
ago.
gave a warning. They
When
can mute
he
it
smashed,
or skip.
he bashed Glenn in the head.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That played right along with the comics. I'm like, this is great. And then they said they were going to dial it back because it was too graphic. I'm like, well,
That's what the show is,
that's
man.
the comics.
Yeah.
And then it got super weird, and then there was like these hints at the Whispers, and I was like really looking forward to the Whispers, but it got super weird, and I'm like, you know what? I'll just keep the Whispers in my mind is how I read it in the
There you go.
comics, so I don't need to watch it. That's kind of where I ended.
Okay.
I ended it. Negan was great. I love Negan. Negan is the epitome of a bad guy.
Yeah, it's great.
Phenomenal.
What about whatchamacallit from Breaking Bad? Who's the dude you guys both fucking hate?
Todd?
Yeah,
Todd,
Todd.
nah.
You guys said you can't even watch anything with him in it because you want to bash his fucking skull.
Todd's a piece of shit. Negan has this. It's a comic book, so Negan has that comic book.
Just a
comic
heel.
book. Yeah, and it's that vibe where it's like, okay, you can kind of like him, and even though he's taking a barbed wire baseball bat and bashing in your favorite character's head,
Still
in
kind of
with
cheered
it.
for him a little bit.
Yeah.
He's like the NWO.
Yeah.
If there's one show, what one show would you bring back for one more season if you could? Either of you. I know I'm throwing you on the spot now. I didn't prep you guys for this. I don't usually prep you guys for any of these questions. If you could bring back a show for just one season.
Like it changes its ending, or we just expand on that ending.
Like a show that was canceled one more year.
Yeah, anything you want. Anything you want to do.
Oh, this was canceled and we're going to bring it back?
Anything, any show you want to add one more season to.
It's pretty.
It means you can expand on a finale or you can change a finale. I mean, you have a whole season.
I am going to go with the Watchmen from last year on HBO.
You talk about that show a lot.
I haven't
It
seen
was
it yet.
so great.
And they canceled it, or
The guy that wrote it didn't want to do another series. And HBO just,
they did one season?
They packed it in, yeah. Probably the
Is
single.
it a comic book? Now that
It was
I
a
have
graphic
HBO,
novel from way back. It really, I explain. It wasn't the. It was like a reimagining of the base story, like the movie from years ago.
But you highly
followed the
recommend-
graphic
you
novel.
highly
Oh, it's
recommend those.
fantastic.
Did you like Sin City?
Yeah, it was
The
all right.
movies? I loved those movies. And
Yeah, they're good.
graphic novel.
If you haven't seen The Watchmen, though, probably the greatest single season show I've ever seen, and Regina King, one of the greatest actresses ever.
There it is.
I loved
so you
it.
would do another season of that.
Absolutely.
If you want to read graphic novels, you just go down The Watchmen, Alan Moore, V for Vendetta, Watchmen, Swamp Thing.
Well, that's not what I asked, Ian.
I'm just telling you what this dude has wrote. It's good stuff. All right, so if I had to pick one, I would say Better Off Ted.
Really?
It's a great show. It was canceled like mid.
I don't even know what that is.
I've heard of it. I don't.
It's kind of like The Office, but it's like this like pharmaceutical laboratory kind of thing. It's really funny, but yeah, it got canceled like two. It has the girl from Arrested Development in it.
Okay.
Ellen DeGeneres' wife. She's in
Portia
it.
de Rossi?
Yeah, she's the main character in it. But it got canceled like midway through the second season. I thought it was super funny.
You guys ready to lose some listeners?
Yeah,
I think Arrested Development is the most overrated show of all time.
you're wrong.
It is-
Both
it
of
is
you are wrong. 'Cause
not
I already know
good.
what he's gonna say.
I watched 10 episodes, the first 10, and I was like, why am I watching this? This is such a waste of time.
Yeah, I wanted to like it too. I'm
I love Jason
surprised I
Bateman.
didn't love it. And I love Jason Bateman.
It's not funny.
I've watched it like
It's
4 or
not
5
good.
times all the way through.
It is bad.
I wanted
so
to like
good.
it. I don't know why. Maybe I'll give it another shot.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe
I
I'll
don't
try
know
it
about
again.
these new seasons with Netflix, but the first 3 are good.
Maybe I'll try it again now that I know a little bit more what to expect, but I could not get into it. And I had people swear to me I would love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We better get on with the show. Someone's going to post a review about our inane banter going for 9 minutes.
What 11:30, Pally. So fuck
Goddamn.
that, listener. Hey, I didn't even mention fast food, and I wasn't even going to tell Ian that today for lunch I had a Wendy's double. Didn't get a triple because I didn't want to fall asleep at my desk. Had a double.
Last time we
I didn't mean to
record-
go us on a rabbit hole.
All right, we're going.
So we got something crazy today.
We're going down under for the first time.
We almost did this as a bonus show at one point. I'm so
did.
glad we didn't.
Yeah, I know.
This needs to be out to the masses. This is our first Australian show.
Behind the United States, Australia's number 2.
They love us.
We have
over
a
there.
strong legion of
Yes,
Australian
we do.
listeners.
I want to.
Thank you very
I
much
want to
to
go
them.
there.
First live show might be in Australia.
I want to go.
Absolutely.
Well, after these viruses go away, we're allowed to leave the country.
Yeah, shit's getting locked down.
It's only a 20-hour flight over there, so that'll be fun.
Easy. We'll record 4 shows on the way over. Yeah. I think the first live show might be in Australia, if it's not in Cleveland.
I want to go. I want to do it all. I want kangaroos. I want
Well, I don't want any kangaroos. Motherfuckers.
boomerangs.
The old Nick Diaz kangaroo. Remember that thing? Boomerang. All right, let's get into it.
Get into it. Katherine Knight was born October 24th, 1955, and raised in a very unconventional and dysfunctional family environment. Her mother, Barbara Rohan, had been married to a man named Jack Rohan and lived in a small town of Aberdeen in New South Wales, Hunter Valley. Barbara and Jack had 4 sons before Barbara began an adulterous relationship with another man named Ken Knight, who was a friend and co-worker of her husband.
Dirty.
You done me wrong.
She did him dirty.
The Rohan and Knight families were like well known in the conservative rural town, and the affair caused a major scandal. And that's kind of a thing that we're going to get in through without this whole story, is that there's these certain families in Aberdeen that have been there for decades, and when they get involved with each other, they all have certain reputations, and when they get involved with each other, shit happens.
Like the Hatfields and McCoys?
That's exactly what I was going to say. That's literally what I was getting ready to say.
Local backlash forced Barbara and Ken to leave Aberdeen and move to Moray. None of her 4 sons went with her, and the 2 older boys continued to live with their fathers, while the 2 younger sons were sent to live with their aunt in Sydney. Barbara had 4 additional children with Ken, including a pair of twin girls born in 1955 in Tenterfield. Katherine Knight was the younger of these twin daughters.
So she came out second?
Yes.
I mean, they're twins.
That would be logical.
Just want to make sure we're clear. She just came out. So she's 5 seconds younger.
In 1959, when Katherine was 4 years old, Jack Rowan died, and his 2 older boys who had been living with him moved in with Barbara and Ken.
So 6 kids then.
Sounds perfectly functional.
Katherine's father, Ken, was an alcoholic who openly used violence and intimidation to rape his wife, Barbara, up to 10 times a day, and often in front of the kids.
So we're off to a good start here for Katherine.
10
10 times a day.
in front of the kids.
Often.
What?
That's what do you if you're the kids, like how do you react to something like that?
It's kind of a grasp it moment in these stories that we do, but this one's a real grasp it moment. Like you got to kind of grasp this as you're sitting there as a kid, your father is kind of chasing your mom around and just kind of beats her into submission and has sex with her in front of you.
Yeah.
This is what this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And you're young enough, you don't understand. You just see it happening.
10 times a day.
Yeah.
Barbara, in turn, would often tell her daughters how much she hated sex and men. Later, when Katherine complained to her mother that one of her partners wanted to do something sexual that she didn't want to do, her mother, Barbara, told her, quote, "Put up with it and stop complaining."
That's great advice.
Was it anal? Did she not think it was super to take it in her pooper?
I hope so. I hope so.
I'm just asking.
I don't know what they do in Australia.
trying to
They
get to the
probably have
facts here.
things that we don't even know about here.
Really?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like special sex acts?
Probably.
Stuff you never heard of.
Right. I don't know what they do at that part of the flat earth. Like, that's just so far away. They're near the ice caps over there.
That's not a knife. This is a knife.
Katherine also claims that she was frequently sexually assaulted by several members of her family, but not, she specifically says, not by her father, which continued until she was 11 years old.
So on top of seeing her mom raped 10 times a day, roughly, she was also sexually assaulted for the first 11 years of her life.
This is what she claims. This is kind of a running thing with her.
I feel like that was let me be very clear.
Yeah.
You have one day.
We don't really know because she claims a lot of things, and that's not to say people that don't.
Well, so is that
victims
true about
aren't to be believed, but Katherine Knight has a lot of things that she claims that are not accurate throughout this story.
So she's suspect.
Okay.
That's
Sure.
okay to say.
Yeah.
Fair.
There's minor doubts about the details of what she says, but psychiatrists that examined her, for the most part, they accept her claims of what she says as far as sexual assault, as far as when she was a child, and family members have confirmed that the events did happen. Based on her behavior as we get through this, it's evident that something happened to her. Barbara's great-grandmother was an indigenous Australian from the Moray area who married an Irishman. Barbara was proud of this fact and identifies as an Aboriginal. This was kept a family secret as there was considerable racism at the time. There was a source of tension with the children. So this whole Aboriginal marrying an Irishman thing was kind of off limits.
Well, I mean, we know how that goes in this country, so I can imagine.
Apart from her twin sister, the only person who Katherine was close to was her uncle Oscar Knight, who was a champion horseman. She was devastated when he committed suicide in 1969 and continues to maintain that his ghost visits her.
God damn, she can't catch a break here.
Did her twin sister kind of endure the same treatment?
Absolutely not. Well, I don't know about the same treatment, but the same outcome, absolutely not. As far
That's interesting.
as far
'cause
as
it's
behavior.
Yeah, because you can, make the nature versus nurture question if she went through the same kind of upbringing and
Right.
endured the same, violence and whatnot, but
Yeah.
didn't turn out the same. Okay.
As far as a woman that just beats the shit out of everybody that crosses her and goes
But
down
I mean,
this
like,
path,
has her
no.
twin sister ever confirmed any of these stories or any of these that we know of? Or has she been kind of off the grid?
From what I read, it was that family members were willing to confirm some of her stories, but not all of it. So after her uncle, Oscar Knight, committed suicide, they moved back to Aberdeen that year. That year, she attended Musselbrook High School, and Katherine became a loner and is remembered by classmates as a bully who stood over smaller children. She assaulted at least one boy at school with a weapon and was once injured by a teacher who was subsequently found to be acting in self-defense.
So she attacked a teacher, and the teacher
Yeah.
fought back.
Yeah.
And when I just said that Katherine Knight is like a very, I alluded to that she's a tough woman. This is kind of where we're getting into the realm here of her. She is a very tall woman and a very tough and strong woman. They said there was accounts
Intimidating looking.
Yes, that she had man's hands was a lot of the things. She was very strong and very tough.
Remember that Seinfeld episode with man hands?
Yes.
By contrast, when she was not angry, Katherine was a model student and often earned awards for her good behavior. Upon leaving school at 15, without having learned to read or write, she gained employment as a cutter in a clothing factory.
It's a long time in school not to know how to read or write.
Well, that was the kind of thing that I was reading about with,
Wonder if that's common in the Australian public school system.
well, in Aberdeen, that was kind of the thing, was like, if you're, we'll get into it, her dream job was to work in the slaughterhouse, the abattoir. So
No reading or writing needed there.
True.
absolutely not. So this was not abnormal for her to leave school at 15 without being able to read or write. 12 months later, she started what she referred to as her dream job, cutting up offal at the local abattoir. We had a discussion off air earlier about abattoir because I did not know what that word meant until I did
Apparently,
this.
I was not present for that conversation.
Well-
because Homeboy still doesn't know what the fuck we're talking about.
Well, about abattoir or about awful?
Well, I refuse to watch the
Awful.
movie Avatar. I'm not going to watch it. It looks stupid as shit. I'm not going to waste 3 hours. So she's cutting up avatars.
You ever seen Avatar?
Blue people all over the place, I'm guessing, and I don't care.
Okay.
Just going to disregard that whole Avatar thing.
Well, awful is scrap meat for anyone that doesn't know. Like entrails.
Like what they make my beef jerky out of, probably. that I
Probably.
eat from the gas station all the
Absolutely.
time. I'm eating awful.
The interesting about awful that I learned, because I will fully admit that I just Wikipedia'd that and tried to figure out what that word meant.
For awful, you mean?
Yes. They use some of that as like really like high end stuff. Like this is fancy.
And then you take it home and cook it, and you're like, what is this shit?
Well, it's like you go to like a 5-star restaurant and it's something
And
from
it's
this
awful. And it's awful.
is in there.
Well, it's just,
yeah.
I think the technical term or the definition is any cut of meat that's not muscle.
Yeah.
Is that what
So
it
like
is?
liver,
So what is-
entrails, organ meat, heart.
So what actually is, because there's probably people out there that don't know, as like me, what is an abattoir or
Slaughterhouse.
A slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like if you're getting like your Jello, like the gelatin, it's coming from the offal. But you could be going to
I like Jello. So.
but you could be going to a 5-star restaurant and there's also some offal in there too.
Okay.
Depends what you like, man.
Hey, you like what you like. That's fine. I eat beef jerky like it's my job. So, and that's
I got
probably awful.
I got a Tabasco Slim Jim the other day from the gas station.
Have
I
you
loved
seen the
every
new
second
ones?
of it.
Have you seen the new things they have out? I just saw it yesterday morning. Yesterday morning, I saw at the gas station. They have Savage sausages. They're Slim Jim Macho Man Randy Savage sausages.
You're way too excited, dude, for this.
They must still fucking own like the rights to Randy Savage for Slim Jim use. These things are as thick as a nickel. and about 2 feet long. And it's a sausage, and it's Randy Savage sausage. And I didn't buy it. And to this day, it's the biggest regret of my life. I think I'm going to go back tomorrow and get one. Stand by for a review. I want a Randy Savage. Ooh, yeah. Dig it. Take the sausage, baby. Ooh, yeah. Macho man. I'm going to get one, and I'm going to eat it.
It'll still be there tomorrow.
I'm sure they will be.
And in 10 years, when coronavirus kills all of us,
Hey.
it'll still be there.
And I'll be immune to it because I had the Savage sausage.
So Catherine loved this job by all accounts. Like we said, this was her dream job. And she loved this environment so much that she would go down during her breaks to hang out with the guy that slaughtered pigs just to watch them die. So that was just...
sounds great.
Yeah. After working her way up, she was quickly promoted to boning.
Hey, Mike got promoted to boning in his freshman year in college. He was like in hand job purgatory before that.
It's actually very true. They call me the Bone Master. Previously, I was old Handy. They called me Handy. They said, "Oh, there's Handy. Oh, is he good at fixing stuff? Nope. Just can't close the deal."
So when she
Promoted to boning. That's where we're at. Promoted to boning.
when she got promoted to boning, she was given her own set of butcher's knives. And these knives would become her favorite thing in the world. Like, not even exaggerating that fact. Like, these knives would become like her children. It was how she would view these knives.
Psycho alert.
Yeah. While working at the abattoir, Catherine met her first husband, David Kellett, in 1973. Kellett had previously worked for the railways at Coff Harbor. His best friend was killed in front of him in a shunting accident, and he was later present when a train hit a school bus in Kempsey, killing 6 children in 1968.
This story is littered with just great things.
Yeah.
There's just been so much great in this story thus far with, the rapings and the sexual assaults and then the train accidents and 6 children dying.
It's pretty
been
tough.
There's been more death in this story already than any of our serial killer stories, I feel like.
Yeah.
And we're just
You're
setting
not
the
wrong.
foundation. Good grief.
David helped rescue these children and remove their bodies. And so he was a very heavy drinker, and this was attributed to these incidents. He was transferred to Musselbrook after causing several derailments due to falling asleep while shunting.
You can't sleep while you're shunting.
Doesn't seem safe.
Goddamn, pal.
Shunting 101. Stay awake, motherfucker.
What is shunting? Can somebody elaborate on that?
Yeah, because I'm a manly man. I know what shunting is.
It's transferring rail cars like to the sideline or to another track.
Nothing I would ever be able to do in my life.
What is it? Do you just pull a lever or?
I don't know. I Googled it when I read the outline. I'm like, you fucking clowns.
Somebody
I was interested.
I read the outline like 20 minutes ago. Get off my dick about it.
His behavior deteriorated and he eventually lost this job, but soon he got work at the nearby Aberdeen abattoir where he became close friends with Catherine's brother. He began dating Catherine. He also occasionally slept with her twin.
Whoa, twin fucking.
Boom. Zoom.
Like
zoom.
together at the same time?
I doubt it. I doubt it.
I was waiting for the whatever he did last time.
Reminds me of that double mint gum commercial. Remember that? A double pleasure is waiting for you.
What is it? Double your pleasure, double your fun. That's the statement of the great mint of double mint gum.
Goddamn.
I don't know why I know that. Maybe it was all just a joke about fucking twins.
I thought so.
Double mint gum was just playing off you should bone some twins. Chew our gum, your fresh breath, you'll be able to bone all of them.
So often, if David Kellett got into a fight, Catherine would step in and back him up because in Aberdeen, she was well known for just beating the living shit out of anyone who upset her. Because we said it earlier that she is a very large woman, but just reiterate that she is a very tall and very tough woman.
Just a broad, big woman.
Yes.
And she'll fuck you up.
That it's like,
but she's
if
also
her boyfriend is in a fight, pull him aside and just fucking beat the shit out of anybody.
You're out in the town fist fighting with your girl. That sounds cool.
Yep.
But like, go ahead. No,
I
go.
say that's what Ronda Rousey's husband feels like.
Well, yeah. Travis Brown though knocked somebody out too.
Right.
I mean, he's not. Unless you're Derek Lewis, I'm going to knock his ass out. But
a couple that fights together stays together.
hey, I mean, this girl has seen some shit though.
Yeah.
Like she's.
Yeah, I'm not
I think I would be
downplaying
a
her
hostile
life.
person too.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not downplaying her life.
No, I don't think any of us are. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, making a point.
Katherine married David Kellett in 1974 at her request, with the couple arriving at the service
She proposed to herself via him.
Well, that is how it was told, was that it was kind of like, because they were in this is like a slaughterhouse community in Aberdeen, so it was kind of like when you hit the age of 18, it was like, well, you should be married and you should be doing stuff. So it was kind of, how I read it was that when she hit 18, she had already been like kind of dating him and stuff. And so she just went to him one day on their break and was like, hey, you're fucking getting married to me. You don't have anything to say about it. Me and you are getting married.
He's like, I'm not. The fuck I am.
And what'd she say, Dave?
Oh, two.
Nailed
You
it.
fuck.
Nailed it. Nailed it. Professional actor over here. He's a voice actor.
So the couple arrived at the service on her motorcycle with Katherine driving, and an extremely intoxicated David Kellett,
Yes.
who had spent the past 2 days drinking on the back.
Well, he was just forcefully proposed to some big ass woman that's gonna beat his ass. He's like, well, I'm gonna get drunk. My last few days being single.
Yep.
He's riding bitch on the back of the motorcycle around town for
But,
2
like,
days getting
I just
hammered.
picture like him not even holding on. He's literally just like dead on the back, and she's probably like holding onto his legs as his arms are like flopping in the wind.
So according to David, as soon as they arrived, Catherine's mother, Barbara, gave David some advice saying, quote,
You better watch this one or she'll fucking kill you. Sit her up the wrong way or do the wrong thing and you're fucked. Don't ever think of playing up on her. She'll fucking kill you.
Nailed it.
I don't know, man. That
They're
Australian
her
accent's
words,
hard.
not yours. Her words, not yours. That was a live recording. That was an actual recording we had from that.
I got to be honest. I was planning on hitting up Australia in the next couple of years, but I'm getting a little nervous now.
keep doing that accent.
Our first live show is canceled now because Dave's going to have a hit on him.
So later that night, after everything was done, Katherine knew that her parents had had sex 5 times on their wedding night because Barbara was very open with this stuff. So that's what Katherine wanted. David had been drinking for 2 days, so he was only able to do it 3 times.
2 straight days of drinking. That's not shabby,
Which
man.
I commend David in that.
100%.
God damn.
If only he had had a tablet he could take.
Huh. Is that tablet
That if
blue?
that tablet and the promoting company sent us efficient funds, we would speak their name and he would have a fucking throbbing hard-on. He could have had sex 2 more times.
True.
But they didn't pay us. We don't mention it. He didn't take it. Moving on.
All right.
Talking about Blue Chew. He needed dick pills. He needed some dick pills. He wants some Blue Chew. We all do.
So when David fell asleep, Katherine just sat awake, just like stewing on this fact that they had only had sex 3 times and her parents had it 5, like over and over again.
My mom got plowed 2 more times than
Yeah.
I did.
Like they had a 5, I had 3, like over and over again.
I wonder what Annalise would say in a time like this.
Fuck me, David. Fuck me 2 more times.
David awoke by her just literally strangling him, like not even like exaggerating the fact of her choking him, like
Homer Simpson, Bart Simpson.
yeah, no, like full on fucking strangling him and punching him in the face over this.
This is off the rails.
This is terrible. It's not funny.
Like, just literally beating the shit out of him because he couldn't.
And he's 2 days drunk, so he's passed out as fuck.
Right.
Like, he's not feeling any of that, probably.
Like, David calmed her down, and they got past this incident, and he said that things were decent for the better part of the first couple years. But when Katherine got pregnant, things took a drastic turn. David had been out drinking at a darts tournament, and Katherine, and that's the thing with her that's kind of weird with this, is that she's completely sober in all this like out of control anger. She's 100% sober through all this. She didn't care that he drank, but if he came home late, that was just the end of it.
At the end of him.
Yeah. So that night, David came home late from this dart tournament, and in a blind rage, she just straight up set all of his clothes on fire and then hit him in the back of the head with a frying pan, fracturing his skull.
My God.
Damn. His cranium cracked.
Jesus.
In fear for his life, David fled before collapsing in front of a neighbor's house, and he was taken to the hospital. Police wanted to charge Katherine, but she manipulated David into dropping the charges. And this is something that we're going to see with Katherine throughout this whole story, is that she's very, very good at manipulating herself into not getting in trouble when it comes to these domestic violence charges. In May 1976, shortly after the birth of their first child, Melissa Ann, David left Katherine for another woman and moved to Queensland. And this was just due to being unable to cope with Katherine's abuse.
Yeah.
Because she was beating this. Like, we kind of like yada over some of this, but she beat the fuck out of this guy constantly. Like, this is what happened to this guy, and what happens to a lot of these guys is it's like the flip on what you would normally think of domestic violence. Like, you normally think it's a guy doing it to a woman, but this is a woman beating the shit out of guys. Yeah. The next day, Katherine was seen pushing her new baby in a stroller down the main street, just violently throwing the stroller from side to side.
Well, so, in all fairness, there could have been a snake in the stroller. It's Australia. I mean, give her the benefit of the doubt here.
Fair.
She was she was admitted to St. Elmo's Hospital in Tamsworth, where she was diagnosed with postnatal depression and spent several weeks recovering. Immediately after being released, Katherine placed Melissa on a railway line, knowing full well that shortly a train was due. So just dumped the baby off, and she knew damn well that the train was coming. She then stole an axe and then went into town, threatening to kill several people, just walking up and down the main street, swinging this axe around. Just the way I read it was she was just screaming at everybody like she was going to fucking kill everybody. And people were just like closing their blinds and locking their doors because they knew damn well who she was, what family she belonged to, and that it was like the Knights are nothing to be fucked with. So we're just closing everything up.
Goddamn.
Obviously, she would have stuck out like dog's balls, but they knew who she was, so they weren't going to fuck with her.
Is that an Australian reference?
That's Australian slang I'm trying to throw in here.
Oh, okay.
Stuck out like dog's balls.
Is that a thing they say?
Yeah, I did my research, man.
How the fuck do they say that? Dog's balls? I mean, okay.
Inconspicuous.
You notice dog's balls. That makes sense.
Or conspicuous.
Conspicuous, yeah. You notice dog's balls, I guess. They're just drooping out.
See, makes sense. Yeah. So, baby on the tracks, Kathy swinging the axe. This is quite a scene.
Sounds like my last album.
So an old man named, known simply as Old Ted, was foraging for nuts and berries near this railway line, and he found and rescued Melissa Ann. And by all accounts, it was like minutes before this train had passed. Katherine was arrested and again taken to St. Elmo's Hospital, but recovered and signed herself out the following day. So
it's a miracle.
Yeah. After Katherine got out of the hospital this time, she directed her anger towards the people in the town. David had left her, but if his truck was still broken down, he wouldn't have been able to leave Aberdeen. And in her mind, the only reason he got out was because his truck was fixed. So she directed her anger at the town's mechanic nicknamed Hoppy because he had one leg.
That's clever.
God damn. That's a stretch, first of all. Second, I'm a big fan of this Hoppy guy.
Yeah.
Fixing up everyone's cars, getting them running. Meanwhile, he's hopping around on one leg.
He's got one leg.
Love Hoppy.
Katherine had been staying at her parents' house after leaving the hospital, but one morning she left early with her daughter to go to her own house and get some things. She got a paycheck, a pair of scissors, a large knife with a curve on the end of it, and some bandages. Then she went down the street to the house of a teenager she worked with at the abattoir named Margaret Macbeth.
It's like one of those curved pirate knives you put in your teeth and slide down the rope on the ship.
Yeah, from what I saw, it's a pretty brutal knife.
That's what Dave thinks of. He thinks of pirates sliding down the sail with a knife in their teeth.
Or you hold the knife with both hands and you put it in the sail and slide down.
Yeah, that's what I would more think of. Yeah, you cut your way down. I feel like that's like from like a Donald Duck or Mickey Mouse cartoon from back in the day.
Very swashbuckling, if I must say.
Margaret's mother answered the door, and Katherine told her that Melissa Ann was sick and needed a ride to the doctor. She said that she would drive up and pick her up, but she had to get ready. Mrs. Macbeth got all of her kids in the car and drove up to Katherine's to pick her up. So when Katherine saw that it wasn't just Mrs. Macbeth, that she had all these kids in the car, she got pretty irritated and said, quote,
"There's too fucking many of you. I'll have to get rid of some of you." That was not a good Australian accent.
I thought that was pretty. You did fine.
We'll stick with it, though.
You want to do a take two?
No.
She then reached into the baby stroller where Melissa Ann was sleeping and pulled out this huge curved blade, this straight up slaughtering knife. And Katherine first went after Margaret, who was able to get away from her and like kind of get out of the way up to the porch, and she only got a cut on her cheek. Katherine then pulled out the scissors and bandages and told the family that she was going to cut them all up and then bandage them back together. That's extremely scary because that's like, it's just a weird mental state at that point. You pull out this big ass fucking blade, then you pull out the scissors and you're like, I'm going to cut you up and then bandage you back. Like it's completely, it's not even logical thinking at that point.
That's off the deep end stuff.
So while this family is held hostage on the front porch, Katherine is looking around for something. And as it turned out, she had a gun that was hidden on her porch. And the night before, her father went over and took it because it was kind of like, hey, my daughter's a fucking nutcase, so I'm just going to go and grab that gun and take that away from her. And she probably would have killed people that day if that gun wasn't taken away from her.
It's a lot of close calls in this story.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have a lot more we're about to talk about here coming up.
But even though the gun was gone, the big butcher knife that she had was enough to hold this family hostage, and she demanded that they take her to Queensland to find her husband David. Mrs. Macbeth was quick to come up with this idea for an escape and told Katherine that they needed to stop at a gas station before they could make it to Queensland.
I believe they're petrol stations.
Yes.
Look at this guy. Knows it all.
He's an original over here.
Can't wait till we go do a live show in Australia. And Dave just gets us all around town. He knows everything. He loves kangaroos like they're buddies and
Absolutely.
all that stuff.
So Katherine was fine with this idea because she just figured, hey, I could cash that paycheck that I brought with me and we're good. Let's go to Queensland after this.
Always looking at the
money. So at the petrol station, Dave, is that what you buy your Fosters?
Oh, I think you can buy Fosters at any retail location in the whole country.
Oh. And I believe they have like vending machines on the streets, right?
Oh,
you just
absolutely.
buy Fosters.
What's the only beer available in the whole country?
What's the only drink, I think.
Like they don't have soft drinks or water. It's just all Fosters.
Fosters. You run a marathon, you got a backpack of Fosters.
Sure.
Yeah.
They hand you little cups of Fosters when you,
of course,
on mile 20.
I get it.
Foster's is what?
It's Australian for beer.
We've been trained our whole lives to think that. Why would their government lie to them? Like it's
True.
Or I mean, why would our government lie to us? It's their government lying to them, I think. Like they don't know that Foster's is their lifeblood, right?
I guess.
They're also very close to the edge of the flat Earth, being over there by the ice caps.
That's true.
Just saying, it all makes
Yeah.
sense.
It's probably pretty cold over there, huh? Like all year round.
Well, that's why they have the Fosters on the streets. It just stays cold. That's what I heard.
Once they got there, the whole family was able to escape and lock themselves into an office at the gas station in a blind rage. And this just like kind of shows the strength of Katherine Knight. She ripped a blade off of a tractor mower and just started hacking at this metal office door with it.
She's nothing if not determined, this one.
No.
Nothing's going to stop her.
Like we said that she had this issue with the town mechanic,
Hoppy.
because he fixed that car that got David out of there. So she saw Hoppy, and for whatever reason, even though she was, like we said, she was super angry with him, she dropped this tractor blade and didn't hurt him. Instead, she just pushed him over and stole his crutch.
Poor fucking Hoppy.
And used it to pry the door open with.
God damn Hoppy.
Just fixing cars, minding his own business. One leg getting by. This trifling woman coming shoves him over and takes his crutch.
This is a little rude.
I'm trying to use nice words here. I guess in Australia they'd call her a cunt, right? They call her a cunt in Australia.
It's an acceptable term over there.
Yeah,
Well-
for your friends, right? Do you also call people you don't like cunts?
I don't know.
Ma, you're a cheeky cunt.
From what I know about
I call
it,
my
I like
friends
it.
cunts in here in America. Ian, you're a cunt. See? It's a term of endearment. You know what? This lady's a cunt. In Australian terms. My hands are up like I'm giving up, like it's Australian terms.
It was said with this crutch that she just like was beating the shit out of everything around her, just like swinging it around, beating the shit out of stuff. And
It's a very cunty thing to do, right?
I would
I'll
say
stop.
so.
I'll stop. I'll stop now.
So she used it to pry open this door, and she eventually got into the room and grabbed one of the Macbeth kids and held a knife to this boy's throat. The police arrived shortly after. Through negotiating, they were able to convince Katherine to let this boy go. After she let him go, the police used brooms to kind of like herd her back and like keep her at arm's length so she couldn't do anything.
So police couldn't even like maintain this woman? Or like
Brooms?
yeah, that's what I mean. Like they couldn't stop her.
Well, I don't know what the laws are with
That's
like,
a fairly
guns.
benign takedown. You know, in this country, there would have been 25 SWAT teams in there beating the fuck out of her.
She would have been dead.
yeah.
That's what I mean. Like I
the
guess that's
story
true.
would
Like
have
I'm
been
thinking
over.
Australia. Like
They're just sweeping it away.
do they not just have guns to pull out and like point at her and be like, "Get down, or we'll fucking shoot you, you cunt." It's Australia.
it's a
That's how
harsh-
they talk in Australia.
It's a harsh term here.
I assume that's how they talk there.
That is absolutely how they talk.
Dave, how do they say it though?
A cunt. Cunt.
Cunt.
You got to watch the comedian Jim Jeffries from
Oh, he's so
Australia.
good.
He'll tell you how to
He's
say cunt.
So good.
You cunt.
Jim Jeffries is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, when I was reading this, I don't know what the laws are over there and like what like if they can have actual like live firearms or not. But when I was reading this, I was like, well, if this was America, the story would be done right here because she
Yeah.
would be dead and that would
of
be
course.
the
Meanwhile,
end of
they're
it.
using broomsticks to chase her away.
I'm not
like
saying
she's
that's
a fucking
right, but-
rodent under your porch.
I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just saying that's what would happen.
I don't think it's like England. The cops don't have guns. I'm pretty sure they have firearms. The police.
I'm
in
sure they do too.
Australia.
I'm sure they do too. It's just funny in this story that they're using this.
Well, they have to shoot like big spiders and stuff when they're walking down the street. Gotta have guns. See the size of those spiders over there?
Australia's the Wild West, man.
I would
It's
shit
crazy.
my pants. I saw one of those spiders crawling on me.
People in Australia are going to hate us after this episode. We're going to lose all of our listeners.
I love them. I want to go.
They're fantastic. We should have done this episode a long time ago.
Yeah.
So after they cornered her with these broomsticks and just like kind of kept her at arm's length, and she just finally crashed and just fell down like just complete adrenaline dump, just like completely crashed. She was admitted to Morset Psychiatric Hospital. When the police informed David Collette of the incident, he blamed himself and he left his girlfriend and moved back to Aberdeen with his mother to support Katherine.
This guy's as nuts as she is. Put down the Fosters, pal.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So when she was released on August 9th, 1976, into the care of David, Catherine's family was angry because they blamed David for all of this. And this is kind of like a running thing with Catherine, was like that she could do no wrong. It was everybody else's fault for what was going on with her. And they didn't want Catherine to go anywhere near him. So David went to pick Catherine up at her parents' house, and while he was waiting outside, her mother Barbara came outside and kind of was giving him like kind of the what
business.
the what for, like
what
get the fuck out of here. And she started choking him out, like reached in the car and started strangling him.
This choke move's a family thing. Everyone does the choke.
And
The Knight family choke.
and David just sat there taking it, like he didn't fight back.
He might have had a thing for being choked, though. A little bit.
Maybe
a little bit. He had a thing for that.
Well, Catherine walked outside and spun her mother around and just straight out like walk off punch, just one punch knockout, just dropped her mother.
It's the most fucked up story I think we've ever talked about. What the hell's going on in Australia?
It's in the water.
The Fosters, I think, right?
Well, you got to remember, it is a penal colony. I mean, you know.
Just walked off her mom.
Yeah. I'm not going to say anything disparaging about Aberdeen, but
I don't know anything about Aberdeen.
From this story, it seems like Aberdeen people are not the ones to be fucked with.
I don't think that's disparaging at all. I think that's probably a point of pride.
This whole community sounds like people that are not the ones to be
fucked with.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, clearly.
Get your ass choked out, punched out, or slaughtered.
So with that, Catherine, David, and their daughter moved to Woodbridge, which was a suburb of Brisbane, where they obtained a job at the Dinmore Meat Works in nearby Ipswich. This is where Catherine took the love of her knives to a whole new level.
I get the love of her knives. I read that as love of her life. Love of her knife. No, it's fine. I'm drunk. On Foster's.
Fun fact:
Why, we should have bought Foster's for tonight. Why
we
didn't
probably
we?
should have.
I've never had it.
Sally.
Disgusting.
I've never had it.
It's not great.
All right, I'm gonna get some for next episode.
I want to know what the real Australian beer is.
I think we've been told that.
We talked about
times.
Cooper's.
Oh yeah,
something else.
Cooper.
A fun fact on Meatworks, that was Mike's bedroom name in the frat house. Meatworks.
That's true. It was a meat pumping factory. Get in, get out, get pregnant. Boom. It's like on hydraulics. Like you just get in there. Boom, 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 boom. That meat works, is what that girl said. The works was spelled with a Z at the end. You know, be thug. So, yeah. True story. Dave, how'd you know that?
Some of your friends
talk to
guys send me an email.
Talk to my ex-girlfriends.
They give me all this info.
Choking on my beer over there.
Just like those girls used to choke on the Meatworks.
Boom. Hey. Get off the tracks and the train's coming through.
So with this new system, or her new love of knives that she had, she built a system of hooks above her bed where her and David slept. And these knives would just hang above them every night while they slept.
Yeah, that sounds safe,
That
comfortable.
That would be
I'd sleep in that bed.
Calming. Yeah.
That would be the first step for me to be like, all right, I'm gonna kind of take a couple steps back. And just
Do you think when the air condition kicked on, it was like wind chimes, like clink, 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 clink? You just hear those knives above your head hitting together.
How could you even sleep?
Clink. I don't think I would. I would literally probably roll onto the floor, sleep under the bed.
I don't know, man. As I was doing this whole outline, the only thing I could keep thinking was Katherine Knight must have had some. She had to have some kind of hold over these guys, either sexual, charming, something to get these guys to all go along with this stuff. One night after David woke up, he woke up to Catherine sitting on his chest with the tip of one of her knives in his neck, and this was like right in his jugular, like just about to nick it. And she was just calmly telling him how easy it would be to kill him. like almost kind of taunting him. Like, do you know how easy this would be right now to just like kind of twist this just like the slightest way?
Open you up.
Yep. And kind of odd with these abusive relationships, she just left David out of the blue. One day, David was out working, driving trucks, and Katherine just moved out. And it was said that when David found out, he celebrated by going out and getting super drunk. He was like, hell yeah. I don't have to sleep under these knives anymore. And
yeah. Little did he know it was the luckiest day of his life.
Yeah.
That's the guy I want to party with.
We'll be right back.
Is there something that interferes with your happiness? Something preventing you from achieving your goals? BetterHelp Online Counseling is there for you. Connect with your professional counselor in a safe and private online environment that's totally convenient. At BetterHelp, you can get help on your own time at your own pace. You can schedule secure video or phone sessions, plus chat and text with your therapist. They offer licensed professional counselors who are specialized in depression, stress, anxiety, relationships, sleeping, trauma, anger, family conflicts, LGBT matters, grief, and self-esteem. Anything you share with your BetterHelp counselor is kept completely confidential. If you're not happy with your counselor for any reason, you can request a new one at any time for no additional charge. BetterHelp offers 3,000 U.S. licensed therapists across all 50 states and also has services available worldwide. Sign up is simple, and you can start communicating in under 24 hours. Financial aid is also available for those who qualify. And remember, BetterHelp is secure, convenient, and professional. Best of all, it's a truly affordable option. Necronomipod listeners get 10% off your first month with discount code NECRO. So why not get started today? Go to betterhelp.com/necro. Simply fill out a questionnaire to help them assess your needs and get matched with a counselor you'll love. That's betterhelp.com/necro.
Katherine spent the next 8 years single, moving from town to town, working at whatever slaughterhouse would take her in. Eventually, after all this moving around, she ended up back at her original employer in Aberdeen.
It's hard to believe 8 years. She's quite a looker.
She's just bouncing around. In Aberdeen, Katherine met 38-year-old miner David Saunders in 1986. A few months later, he moved in with her and her daughters, although he kept his old apartment in Scone. Katherine soon became jealous regarding what he did when she was not around and would often throw him out. He moved back to his apartment where she would follow him and beg him to come back. In May 1987, she cut the throat of his 2-month-old dingo puppy in front of him for no more reason other than just to show an example of what would happen if he ever had an affair.
Jesus Christ.
And this was described, how I read it, as just what you would consider, I guess, a marital argument along those lines. And then it escalated to her just straight up grabbed this dog and just slit its throat.
I wonder how many listeners just tuned out now just on hearing that about a dog.
It's not great.
That's terrible.
And after she did this, she went back to her frying pan thing that she did with David Kellett, and she smacked Saunders over the back of the head with the frying pan and knocked him unconscious.
Holy shit.
She loves that frying pan.
Yeah. In June of 1988, she gave birth to a third daughter, Sarah.
Wait, dead puppy, frying pan, but I'm still going to keep fucking her.
That's what I mean about, like, if we were talking about this from a woman's point of view, it feels like it's really, maybe it's because we're three guys sitting here and we're like, what the fuck? But I mean, I don't know. It is a real thing, like domestic abuse on like the flip side of it.
Oh, absolutely.
So I don't know.
Maybe she has a magic vagina.
She has to be doing something. Yeah. I mean, there's there's just being manipulative.
It's not the rest of her because she has a head like a bashed crab.
Is that some Australian slang?
Oh yeah, absolutely. What you call an unattractive lady?
A head of a bashed crab.
Or unattractive, whatever. Head like a bashed crab.
I like it down there. Those are good terms.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Dave did his homework for this episode. He just looked up terms and then just read the outline and was like, where can I fit these? Bashed crab.
June of 1988, She gave birth to a third daughter, Sarah, which prompted Saunders to put a deposit down on a house. Katherine paid off the deposit with her workers' compensation, which came through in 1988. Now, this workman's comp is interesting because she always loved working at the abattoir and doing the whole slaughtering animals thing. But for some reason, around this time, she just said, I don't want to work anymore, and said, fuck it. So she applied for government assistance, and she specifically just started like lifting heavy shit with just her back, like over and over again. So when it came down to like the testing time or whatever, that she would qualify for it.
God damn.
I don't understand why she did it. There's no kind of real reasoning for it, but that's what happened in this time frame. She decorated their house with animal skins, skulls, horns, rusty animal traps, leather jackets, old boots, machetes, rakes, and pitchforks.
I don't know. I have old boots hanging from my ceiling.
Do you?
Yeah, it's like Western chic. It's pretty cool. I like it.
Can't wait to sleep under that bear trap just hanging up.
It's wild.
It sounds like a peaceful night.
Oh, yeah. Is there any pictures of that decorating scheme? I'd like to see that.
After an argument where she hit Saunders in the face with an iron before stabbing him in the stomach with a pair of scissors, he moved back to Scone. But when he later returned home, he found that she had cut up all of his clothes. Saunders took off in the middle of the night and went into hiding. Katherine went to find him, but no one admitted to knowing his whereabouts. And so within this process of hunting down Saunders, she met another man named John Chillingsworth.
This girl sure gets around. Do Australians use the term floozy?
I don't know. Good question.
Let us know, Australia.
There's guys willing to test their luck, I guess.
Okay.
Katherine met John Chillingworth at a bar called the Willow Inn. John Chillingworth was also a slaughterhouse employee and a heavy drinker.
She's got a type, huh?
So all three of us would meet her types. Heavy drinkers.
That's
I guess that's it. That's it.
Never killed an animal in my life.
I'm not doing manual labor,
Sure.
so that's out.
Obviously, yes.
Absolutely not.
But we all
Are you kidding
we
me?
all would pop that blue chew and be ready to go. Come at us, Katherine Knight.
I walked down
Slay this, motherfucker.
I walked down a trail last summer. That's the last outdoors I ever done in my life.
See, outside sucks. There's no reason to ever be outside ever. Outside is terrible.
So we kind of like alluded to this whole thing of like these families in Aberdeen, like to kind of being like this local thing. The Chillingworth family were just as much of a local presence in Aberdeen as the Knight family. They had been in Aberdeen for 60 years, and they full well knew Catherine's reputation, so they were not thrilled to find out that John was dating her. And from what I was reading, John was kind of like, he was kind of like the good kid in that family. You know, kind of like, oh yeah, we're all drinking super heavy and fighting each other and shit, but this one's the good one kind of thing. John had left Aberdeen for about 15 years and he came back. So to him, he didn't really understand exactly who Katherine Knight was. What it was to him was like, hey, I met this tall redheaded woman that is just ready to fucking fight people and I'm all about it kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
And he probably would have figured it out for himself eventually, but he got her pregnant within a couple weeks of dating her.
Between her and her mother, how many fucking kids do these people have?
Whew.
Too many.
Holy shit.
Too many.
The difference with John Chillingworth compared to other men that Katherine had been with was John was bigger than Katherine. And that's something that she ran with for everybody that she had ever been with other than him. She was always significantly bigger than all these guys. So she could bully them and kind of impose her will on these guys. So instead of physically abusing him, she almost immediately started like the psychological abuse, telling him that she didn't know if the baby was his or not. Like it could be, but it might not be. I don't really know.
To get her Aunt Maury.
You are not the father.
So Katherine and her kids claimed that John was physically abusive towards her. And this is kind of a thing that we haven't really touched on, but she did with every person she was ever with. And John Chillingworth, as shitty as it is, he fully admits that he punched Katherine in the face after she punched him and broke his glasses. There's no evidence to support that John Chillingworth ever beat her up, or there's no evidence to support that anybody ever beat her up.
He just might have defended himself the one time.
Right. I
that
mean,
she got aggressive with him.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's great. It's not good at all, but she used
but based on what we've heard about her so far,
right.
You almost understand his situation.
Katherine left John Chillingworth shortly after meeting another man at a bar named John Price. By all accounts, John Price was a good guy. And the thing that was said about him the most that I could find was that he could drink for all of Australia.
That's all these people do over there. A bunch of drunk Aussies drinking Fosters all day.
And think about that. He was the gold medalist of all of them.
Yeah.
Can we just, get his spirit in studio here?
Beer Olympics.
I hope that someday that there's a story written about me where they're like, yeah, that Ian Kehoe, he could drink for all of America.
Goddamn right it could. He could drink for all of his country. That's a man's man. He might be on the Mount Rushmore of Necronomipod now.
We can throw him up there.
He
can drink for a whole country.
Mr. Muggs, Art Bell, Barney Hill, and John Price.
John Price, throw him up there. And that's the weird thing about this story too with her is like I said a little bit ago, we kind of laugh and joke about what she does, but she's extremely abusive, and you would kind of assume that someone that abusive would be drinking or something, you know what I mean? But she's been completely stone sober this whole fucking time, which is kind of even scarier. That
you almost feel like she's like a drunked up rage, but she's not.
So she had been completely sober up until this point. But like we said, John Price could drink for all of Australia. So she started partying up with him, and she started heavily drinking and drinking rum and coke specifically. And it kind of seemed like adding drinking into whatever mix was going on with her was the kind of like the last thing that pushed this abusiveness towards murder.
Who could have thought, right?
According to people that knew John Price, he was more into this relationship as kind of a good time and a distraction. He had been divorced from his first wife, and he was still very much in love with her and didn't want the divorce. So this was kind of like a distraction. John had kids of his own, and they had an immediate bad feeling about Katherine Knight from the moment they met her.
Well, that seems to be universal at this point.
Well, specifically, in this case...
Her reputation precedes her.
Yeah.
She...
So to speak.
In the Price kids' story, Katherine Knight fully claimed that she was abducted by aliens. So
what the fuck?
So that was the first thing that threw them off. They were like, wait a second, what? I would love to hear what that story entails.
Maybe when we're over in Australia, we can go visit her.
Hey, live show. We could talk about that. Maybe we can get her out on parole. We'll talk to
Day
the judge.
pass.
Yeah. Get her on the show.
You could have her come live with you in Isesagawa.
Yeah.
Come on over.
We'll have her do a cooking show at our live event.
H.H. Holmes will come over
Steel
too.
cage match. Who survives?
I think she does.
I think she'd kill him and eat him.
Yeah.
She would kill him and then also serve him to him. She would make him eat himself.
He's like 4 feet tall.
Yeah. She would destroy him. I'm all for it. I'll sell tickets to that shit.
Things got...
Isesagawa available in the archives. As of like 3 weeks ago. As you were.
Listen, you'll eat it up.
Things got drastically worse between Katherine and John's kids when Katherine basically just forced John into getting engaged to her by stealing some of his money and going out and buying a ring. Like straight up diamond ring. She just went out and bought with his money. And reportedly, John said something along the lines of, yeah, that's great, but not getting married. Like
no ice ring. Fuck off.
It's an that was actually audio we have of him saying that. We just played. It's exclusive.
Can't.
Also exclusive Necronomicon.
So as revenge to John not giving into this weird engagement thing, she went after his job. John was a miner who had been working for his company for 17 years. He was making a 6-figure salary, and he had been working his way up to that for a long time. He reportedly was the first to show up, last to leave. And the only thing he ever did wrong at his job was he would go and grab something that would be thrown away and take it and go home with it if it was something that he could use.
Not the worst thing in the world.
No. Katherine knew about this, and one night she filmed John Price taking 2 expired first aid kits that were being thrown away and turned this into his employer. Instead of just writing him up or saying, don't do that again, they fired him and he lost his pension.
Yeah, that's pretty
Bullshit,
awful.
man.
Yeah.
That's enough to kill someone, no?
Maybe so.
Oh, you know,
That's a
talking about ruining someone's whole
lifelong
life.
work. Yeah, fuck yeah.
And this is the thing that's scary with abusive people like this. And we're gonna say it a few times coming up, is that people said, you need to leave this person and don't go back. Because when somebody like this destroys what's around you and tries to destroy you, like that level of abusiveness is going to end in murder eventually.
Yeah, it's not going to end well.
No. And John was told by everyone around him that if he continued to see Katherine, something was terrible was going to happen. But he went back anyways. And by accounts that I read, he lost a lot of friends because of this, because people said, you need to get away from this fucking woman. Stop going back to her. And things seemed to really come to a head when John Price set up a bouncy house in town for the neighborhood kids. And this was what I was saying about earlier. Like, John Price seems like a good fucking guy. He seems like a guy that we would hang out with and just drink a shit ton of beers with. That he made friends with this guy who ran a business setting up bouncy houses for kids. He traded this guy a case of beer to set one up for the kids in the neighborhood. Like that seems like something we would do, or something like, hey man, here's a case of beer. Go set that fucking thing up. Let's have fun. And instead of letting everybody have a good time, Katherine got super drunk and accused Price's daughters of molesting her kids.
Oh, sure. Just as a side note, I love those videos of bouncy houses blown away in the strong winds where they go flying over people's houses and there's kids in them and stuff.
I've not seen one with kids in them.
Well, no?
I've actually never seen one with a bouncy house blowing away. It sounds fucking awesome, though.
Yeah, where the anchors come out, strong winds, and they go.
I mean, yeah, it sounds awesome. I've just not seen that.
I'm kidding. Not with the kids in it, but
Well, of course.
it's funny when they go blowing down the street over the houses. And you can't tell if there's kids in it or not.
So this whole thing of her accusing his daughters of molesting her kids, because that's another thing. I feel like we kind of glossed over a lot of this, unfortunately, with her story. But it's like this like repetitive cycle of, this guy beat me, this guy abused my kids. It's always this reason for being able to like beat the fuck out of somebody, kind of thing. And she kept doing this, and this was like the straw that broke the camel's back with Price's kids. So at this party with this bouncy house, his daughter grabbed a plate, like this decorative plate that she knew that this was Katherine's, and she asked if anyone knew whose it was. And if Katherine said it was hers, Price's daughter handed it to her and said, quote,
Fuck off or I'll break it over your fucking head.
Nailed it.
and then she just straight up physically kicked Katherine off of the porch that they were standing on.
Like 300 kick?
That's how I picture it in my head.
How old is this daughter?
12.
She's got,
Yeah, right.
in my mind, I picture it. She's like maybe in her 20s. I don't know.
Like an adult, though.
Yeah.
Just finally someone standing up.
I
up
love
to this bitch.
every second of this part of the story.
Yeah. This is Sparta! Just fucking kick that bitch off the porch with our plate in her hand.
Take that plate, I'll break it over your fucking head and just boot your ass off there.
Motherfucker.
This is kind of, it seems like you kind of go through her story, you research it online, whatever, and you don't really you don't see this little detail, but I feel like it stands out because she didn't get angry. She didn't fight back, and she just kind of stewed on this. And I feel like this is like almost Price's kids became part of the problem at this point. And it kind of set things in motion for what we're about to get into. A few days later, they had another heated argument, and Katherine stabbed Price in the chest. And that was it for him.
I mean, apparently you can do anything in Australia and not go to jail. Do they have any laws or anything over here?
Australia is jail. They're in jail.
She stabbed like 25 people already.
Yes. Well, it's in jail. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? I mean, he's right. Like, who does this bitch have to kill to do something about this?
You mean like since you live in a penal colony, you can just commit crimes at will and nothing happens?
That's what I was saying, Dave. That's what I was saying.
They throw you in the hole or something?
Like you're already there. Like you're in jail. What are they going to do? Throw you in the water?
I feel like outside of
Thank you
for getting my joke 10 minutes after I said it.
I was formulating my response and you started moving on. I'm sorry for the delay. Fucko. God damn.
I feel like outside of aliens, if there wasn't system failures, we wouldn't have a show to do.
Yeah, that's probably a fair point.
Yeah.
So she stabbed him in the chest, and there were people that he worked with. I mean, he had gotten fired from the mining thing, but he got another job. And there were people that he worked with that kind of were taking bets on like what type of injuries John Price would show up with the next day. And he would keep explaining it away as like it was an accident, it was this, it was that. But this one was bad. This was not, you could not explain this away. This was an actual stab wound to his chest. And he said that was enough. He tried kicking her out. And she said that she would leave if he gave her $10,000. And it was almost the way that I read it was like, you give me $10,000 and I'll leave, or else I'll fucking kill you, is how I read it.
That sounds about right.
And you know what? In fairness to John Price, good on him. He wasn't going to give her any money. But at the same time, he was absolutely terrified of her. So he went to the justice of the peace and got a protection order against her. But they told him that it would be 3 weeks before they could get it to go through.
It's helpful.
John went home to wait it out. And all of his friends and family told him that you cannot go home. Do not go home.
I repeat, do not go home.
That woman is dangerous. Do not go home. But John was afraid that because of that whole bouncy house incident and all that stuff, that if he went into hiding, Katherine would do something to his kids. So he went home and waited it out. And he told his friends that if he didn't show up to work the next day, Katherine had killed him. On February 29th, 2000, Katherine set out to say goodbye to her loved ones, lay out the groundwork for her defense, and murder John Price.
God damn.
Dun, dun,
Is that like a commercial break right there?
You like I'm laying this out?
Boom, boom.
So Katherine first went around telling everybody that she could in town, everybody around Aberdeen, how John Price had beat her up. And she was showing everybody bruises on her chest. And she was like, it was said that she was like full on, like just pulling down her shirt and showing everybody she had these bruises. And I mean, it's not known for sure, but it's highly suspected that these bruises were self-inflicted. And she was going into detail about how John Price beat her up. And John Price's first wife that we talked about that he was like still in love with and didn't want to divorce, she said that there wasn't a mean bone in his body, that he would never touch somebody ever.
Sounds like it.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
Trying to work and drink and live his life.
He could drink for Australia.
It reminds me a lot of me. I could drink for Australia.
You could drink for America.
I also could. I've been told that before. I was like, Mike, you could drink for Australia. Mike, you could drink for North America if you wanted. I said, no, I'm not going to brag about that.
It's a bold statement.
Give me that alcohol. I'll do it.
So after she just went around Aberdeen talking shit to everybody about John Price, she went to her sister Joy's house to return some VHS tapes that she had borrowed. After this, she went to her daughter Natasha's house with her video camera. And once she was there, she set up the camera and had her grandkids on her knee playing with her breast out of her shirt and singing a made-up song about, quote, Nana's titty bops.
What?
Nana's titty bops. Nana's titty bops.
So she got grandkids playing with her titties. Her flat out, like open, bare exposed titties.
Yeah.
Singing Nana titty bops.
Yep. Made-up nursery rhymes.
Is this video available anywhere?
Yeah,
Not that I-
on
not that I saw.
Pornhub.com/what the fuck.
Pornhub.com/Nana's titty bops.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Not sure what's happening
Straight
there,
up
but-
titty out. And they're just flopping around with it going Nana titty bop.
God damn.
Is this what happens in Australia? I don't think I want to go there. For a
Crazy
live
over
show.
there, right?
I don't want to sing Nana titty bop.
That's mandatory when you land. You go through customs and they make you sing that. Nana's titty bops.
We are generalizing a whole country of one show. Meanwhile, we've done like a year and a half of just American brutality.
Just shed light on how shitty our
But
country
we're just
is.
Right.
yeah, but we're just shitting on Australia off of one story. It's not fair. But still, Nana titty bop's pretty fucking weird.
So with that, around 11 o'clock that night, Catherine set off to go murder John Price. John Price had been spending the evening drinking with his neighbors and went home.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. He's just doing his thing, man. In this shitty fucking relationship, getting his ass beat, tired of dealing with this shit. He was out drinking with his neighbors, went home around 11 o'clock and went to sleep. Catherine showed up at his house while he was sleeping. She came in and watched television for a few minutes and then took a shower. After she showered, she put on some black lingerie that she had bought from a thrift store earlier in the day.
Wait a minute.
Like used?
Wait a minute. Well, hold the fuck up. Use lingerie.
Yeah, I mean,
Thrift store? Isn't that illegal?
it's
Well,
it's
Dave,
lawless down there.
You're in a
man.
penal colony.
True. You can resell intimate apparel, apparently.
Like if that's touching your naughty bits,
Naughty bits.
would you put
Nana's
that
titty
on?
bops.
Titty
Yes,
bop, titty
exactly.
bop.
All of this. Like, I'm not wearing anyone else's underwear. I wouldn't wear one of your guys' underwear if I needed it. Like, I just wouldn't need underwear that bad or lingerie that bad if I was a chick. What? So we're selling used?
You can buy it at Goodwill, dude.
I don't think so.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
arguing whether or not you can or can't. I'm arguing whether or not you would.
Oh, well, I don't
And
know.
why would you? Why are you
You're
buying
just trying to
used
save
lingerie?
You're trying to save a buck, man.
It's cheap.
Okay.
All right. What?
I'm giving you guys both the Steve Harvey look right now. Like, no, that's not okay. It's not okay.
I don't believe you can buy lingerie at thrift stores.
In Australia? Or you
In
mean-
this country. I don't know about Australia.
I've not
There's
seen-
no
I've
laws
never-
in Australia.
I mean,
you
I
can do
don't-
anything you want.
I don't go to thrift stores very much here, but I've never seen lingerie the few times I have. That's kind of weird.
We're going to find out tomorrow, though.
So after she put on these thrift store lingerie, she then woke Price up and they had sex and fell asleep.
I know I stabbed you, but you want to fuck?
That's what I'm saying, man. She must have been good at something because
Yeah.
at 6 a.m. the next day, a neighbor became concerned that Price's car was still in the driveway and he did not arrive at work, and his employer sent a worker out to see what was going on because he specifically said the night before, if I do not show up at work, she fucking killed me.
Yeah. I'm dead.
Yep.
Motherfucker called it. He called his own death. He's the Babe Ruth of death.
Both the neighbor and the worker tried to knock on Price's bedroom window to wake him, and they alerted police after they noticed blood on the front door. Police arrived at 8 a.m., breaking down the back door. They found John Price's body with Catherine comatose after taking a large number of pills. She had stabbed John Price with a butcher's knife while he was sleeping. According to the blood evidence, he woke up, tried to turn on a light before attempting to escape while Catherine chased him to the house. He managed to open the front door and get outside, but either stumbled back inside or was dragged back into the hallway where he finally died after bleeding out. He was stabbed a total of 37 times.
Holy fuck.
And to just kind of elaborate on, I don't know if it's whether or not he was in shock or if he was just that much accustomed to her her abusiveness, he had no defensive wounds at all. He didn't try to defend himself one single
That's
time.
interesting.
So take that for what you will.
So he was drunkenly passed out.
Or he just didn't think that she would fully do it to him. I take it.
Well, maybe at the start.
I take it the way I take it as
Then
that
by then
he
you're,
had already.
you're comatose or whatever. You know,
You're incapacitated.
Yeah. And then she just fucking finishes the job.
The way I take it as is leading up to this, he had been stabbed twice. I don't know if he fully thought that she would actually kill him. Is the way I look at it.
But why would you still not defend yourself from stab wounds?
Because he thought it wasn't for real.
He'd been stabbed twice.
He's been groomed to think that it wasn't going to kill him.
Minor wounds, though.
But
Minor wounds.
even if you told me I'm not going to kill you, I'm going to stab you, I'm going to stop that. Like, no one's going to allow themselves to be stabbed.
Well, somebody did.
I don't think he allowed it.
He didn't defend himself.
I think he couldn't. I think he probably was super drunk when she started it. And then by the time she finished those last probably 30 stabs, he was in no position to be able to defend himself.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you could, for sure. I mean, you could argue it either way. It's a way up for
And he was drinking with neighbors ahead of time. I don't know.
Oddly, Catherine went to Aberdeen, withdrew $1,000 from Price's account at an ATM, and no one knows what happened to that money. That's all of her family members. Everybody says, I don't know what happened to that $1,000. Yeah. So somebody got that fucking $1,000.
Well, do we ever say, you already said how she was found, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So do we think she just bought like some fucking pills with that money and just took those and passed out?
Yeah. So,
I mean that seems the most logical, right?
Well, she kind of throughout the story, she had like a multiple, like half-hearted suicide attempts. Throughout this story, Katherine Knight did the whole, this really abusive thing of, if you're going to leave me, I'm going to kill myself. And then you take me back. And you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
okay.
Like over and over again. And that's kind of what this sounds like.
Okay. I guess I'm just trying to think of where that money went. Maybe
Maybe
she
her
took
kids.
some pills.
Maybe her kids, and they said, I don't know what happened to it.
Yeah, and maybe so.
Yeah. Several hours after Price had died, Catherine skinned him so precisely that she took his skin off in one piece with his face still intact. She then hung the skin from a meat hook and left it on top of the door in the lounge room. She then decapitated John Price and cooked parts of his body, serving up the meat with baked potato, pumpkin, beetroot, zucchini, cabbage, yellow squash, and gravy in 2 settings at the dinner table, along with notes beside each plate, each having the name of one of John Price's children on it. She was preparing to serve the body parts of the children too.
That's next level there.
So let's unwrap this for a second. She was so good at being like just a skilled butcher from all these years, and then just pulled him completely off, and his face was still intact.
Ugh.
Still intact on the skin or on his body?
In the skin.
So when she took the skin off,
His
the
face was still
intact
there.
with the skin she was holding in her hands.
Right. So if you were hung up, your face would still be there.
The whole body is there. The whole front of the body is there in skin.
Everything. She just peeled you off and put you up on a hook.
And about to serve you to your kids.
That was the
trying.
That was the plan. There was a third meal that was thrown out in the back lawn for unknown reason, and it's speculated that Catherine had attempted to eat it but couldn't go through with it.
Probably because it tastes fucking gross.
For it tastes like pork, is from what I've heard.
Probably.
I believe we discussed
From what
that
I've
before.
heard.
We've discussed that before, have we not?
From the culinary magazine articles I read, it tastes like a
Didn't
pork.
we discuss that, Dave? And you and I both said we would try it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I would absolutely. And Ian said no.
I would
And I
not.
was told it tastes kind of like pork. I would taste a very small bite. And I probably wouldn't like it, but I would just want to try it just to say I did.
I would never do it.
I respect that, but I don't know. It's meat. Meat is meat. Well, Dave wouldn't do it anymore. He's a vegetarian.
Nope,
So
no more meat.
you got any of that tofu human? I'll try that. It's just stuffed with rice and grain and everything else or whatever.
Nothing what tofu is made out of.
You guys eat your fucking sofritas from Taco Bell, whatever that shit is.
It's Chipotle #1.
What did I say? Taco
I would
Bell.
love myself
Bell.
some
Your
fajitas, right?
sofritas.
Sofritas right now. John Price's head was found in a pot with vegetables. Sometime later in the sequence of events, Katherine arranged Price's body in his favorite chair with his left arm draped upon an empty liter of a soft drink bottle with his legs crossed.
So she was saving his head to eat later?
I don't know, man. It's kind of, this whole thing is just like, it goes from like almost like OJ level of like domestic violence to like fucking Ed Gein.
Right.
In a matter of like minutes.
That's true. Yeah. Well, she was probably saving the head to have it for brekkie with a little Vegemite on it.
See? Well, brekkie with Vegemite. No one knows what the fuck that means. Have you guys had Vegemite?
No.
I want to try it.
I don't even know what that is.
I want to try it.
It's a weird thing. It's like
a spread.
Brewer's yeast, or it's a weird
But it's
thing.
a spread, right? You put on. Do you eat just on bread or you toast it?
I don't know.
I'll eat it. I mean, I don't know.
Can we? Where can we get that?
Australia?
But can you get? You can't get it here.
I don't think so.
I think you can.
Okay.
Well, let me know.
I'll get some Vegemite.
All
If
right.
I can do it, I'll try it. I'll try it on air. Bonus episode, of course. You got to pay for that shit.
Eat Vegemite while you take Blue Chew.
Okay, but I can't be responsible for my actions after that. I try to fuck a sandwich. I don't know. Whatever. Holes is holes.
And we're at that point of the night.
Charlie Runkle, Californication. Holes is holes, Hank. All right, we're gonna try Vegemite live on air. Bonus episode.
Vegemite? Veg-a-will?
You heard it. How can you not sign up for Patreon now? Patreon.com/Necronomipod. That will be a bonus episode. We're going to eat Vegemite. We're going to eat Vegemite on a bonus show. Wash it down with some Fosters. All right, let's wrap this bitch up.
All right. Katherine left a handwritten note on top of a photograph of John Price. It was blood-stained and covered in small pieces of flesh, and it read, quote, "Time got you back, Jonathan, for raping my daughter. You, Beck," referring to John Price's daughter, "for Ross. For little John," referring to John's son. "Now play with John's dick, John Price."
All right.
Means nothing. It's nonsense. Basically how this went down, Katherine did what she did and then took a handful of pills and did this like kind of half-hearted suicide attempt is what happened here. So when she was taken in, she declined her initial plea offer for manslaughter, and she was arraigned on March 22nd, 2001 on the charge of murdering John Price, to which she entered a plea of not guilty. Her trial was initially set for July 23rd, 2001, but was adjourned due to counsel's illness, and it was refixed for October 15th, 2001. When trial commenced, Justice Barry O'Keefe offered the 60 jury prospects the option of being excused due to the nature of the photographic evidence, which 5 accepted. When the witness list was read out to the prospects, several more also dropped out. So people were not thrilled with
I want to look at that.
seeing John Price.
I agree.
Katherine's attorneys then spoke to the judge, who adjourned on the following day. The next morning, Katherine changed her plea to guilty. The jury was dismissed. It was now made public that Justice O'Keefe had been advised of the plea change of the day before. He had adjourned the trial and then ordered a psychiatric assessment overnight to determine if Katherine Knight understood the consequences of the guilty plea and was fit to stand such a plea. Katherine's legal team planned to defend her by claiming amnesia and disassociation, a claim supported by most psychiatrists, although they did concur her sane. 2 psychiatrists concluded that Knight suffered from borderline personality disorder, but it was heavily noted in her sentencing that people with borderline personality disorder would not do what she did. No reason has ever been given for her guilty plea, and despite giving it, Katherine still refuses to accept responsibility for her actions. At the sentencing hearing, Catherine's lawyers requested that she be excused to avoid hearing some of the facts, but this was denied. When police officer Timothy Lyons took stand to describe the skinning and decapitation of John Price, Catherine became hysterical and had to be sedated.
I'd have to be sedated too.
Don't skin
It's good advice, Ian. Thank you.
the fine gentleman that could drink for all of Australia.
National fucking hero, that guy. Bullshit.
No joke.
On the 8th of November, Justice O'Keefe pointed out that the nature of the crime and Catherine's lack of remorse required a severe penalty. He sentenced her to life of imprisonment, refused to fixed non-parole period, and ordered that her papers be marked as, quote, never to be released. And it is the first time that it has ever been imposed on a woman in Australian history. She will
to the
receive
God damn.
life in prison.
Never to be released.
Never happened before. There are like more than 100 in California alone in the United States. So what's
Mark
going
never
on
to be
over there?
released.
Yeah.
So who's
Life
the real
imprisonment?
penal colony, Dave?
I think it's California.
Probably, but they're going to fall off into the ocean eventually.
We
right?
love putting people in prison in this country.
Earthquakes is going to take them
We do,
away.
my friend. That might be a topic for our side political show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when we do those political shows, of course.
There are more people in prison than China in this country. It's outrageous.
Yeah, that was a crazy statistic for reading about them.
You couple that with fucking private prisons and, incentivizing judges paid off by private prisons to sentence people to prison. It's just outrageous.
Who's the real penal colony? I ask again.
So, by all accounts, Katherine Knight loves it in prison. She's never had a single outburst, nothing violent. She's never been reprimanded for anything, not a single incident. She makes headphones, like those cheap headphones that you get on the air flight when you're flying.
Sure.
That's what she does all day long. She plans parties.
She's the party planning committee.
Exactly.
She's Angela from The Office.
And she loves every second of it. She's never had been questioned. And according to one guard, she's rolled in there because, quote,
they simply do not fuck with her.
We'll see you next week.
if you skin a man,
I just wanted to end with that.
No one fucks with you.
She's also a huge motherfucker.
you think any of those girls in
No.
prison are going to fuck with her?
No.
I sure as fuck hope not. That's a mic drop.
This lady's something else, man.
What a
Holy
crazy
shit.
story. Like she beat up all of her husbands. I mean, she had a terrible upbringing. Beat up her husband.
But by her account, so you don't know.
Yeah.
That's true. You're right. And then fucking just had it out for this guy. Maybe because of his daughters. Really, that's what sent her over the edge.
Yeah. That's quite a story.
So this is it. This is what, when we go to Australia, this is what we might see.
Yeah, they got a couple more that people have requested that are
Meanwhile,
interesting.
Australians are like, motherfuckers. You had O.J. Simpson. You have Casey Anthony. You have H.H. Holmes. You have fucking every other serial killer you've talked about. And the ones you're still going to talk about.
They have one that they keep requesting that I don't love.
Who?
Ivan Milat.
No, not that one. The other one.
Apparently, they have a couple we keep requesting.
Yeah,
That's a
that
good one.
That one, but there's the other one. The Snownet. Is it
Snowtown?
Yeah, the Snowtown murders.
Oh, we have had that one too. All right. We got some Patreon shout outs. Thank you very much to Leanne Rafferty, Zach Taylor Day, Gabrielle Servo, Natasha Lloyd, Amy Lynn, Emily Schmemily, Rory Allen, Victoria Taylor, Megan Goldman, Anastasia, Christina Rowe, Larry Gavin, Russian, and Nina Vieira. Thank you very much. We appreciate your support. We are at patreon.com/necronomipod. If you are interested in signing up for 3 bonus episodes a month, and they're badass bonus episodes. You also get access to all of our archived bonus episodes dating back to September of 2019. So we have quite a bit there available for you. Ian, what shout outs we got tonight?
I have one for Rachel Brewer, 88. She is not fond of your obsession with Britney Spears, Mike.
Yep. Sorry, I'm not sorry.
Jay Friedegg, It's Syrup, Mr. SVT, and that is it. And Mr. SVT says that this show is not for everybody who is a sensitive Sally.
That's true.
I would very much agree with you, sir.
Yep. Thanks for the review, though. Dave, what do you got for us?
From Twitter, Vic V. Podolowski. And a special birthday shout out to one of our fans in Discord, Zombie Gal. So I hope you're eating some good flesh for your birthday. Happy birthday.
Nailed it. All right. I think that about does it.
It's quite a show.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw one out. I'm gonna throw one quick shout out to Lauren Sim, LAURENSIMM at Instagram. Go check out her photography account. Super cool.
There you go.
Eagles. She takes
Shots
pictures
of
of
eagles.
she takes pictures of wild eagles. It's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even know that existed.
Eagles?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, like not in the wild. Like I can just go walk around and see them.
There you go.
Did
Check
you
out
know,
that account.
Did you know that?
I knew
was
that
real?
eagles existed in this country.
That you can go walk around and see them.
In some parts, yes. Not in our parts.
Like multiple.
Some.
Like 12 at a time.
No, I didn't. Well, I mean, I don't know if I ever thought that hard about eagles.
Did you think about it?
I know when I'm in, Kelly's Island, I see eagles flying around sometimes, but that happens.
It's pretty cool.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys in Australia over on our Australian tour, hopefully in the near future. And the rest of you, fuck off, whatever.
Ready for a cold on beer?
Yes, sir.
Cheers.